So.
But I missed that 7 years.
Hi, Keep It Crazy family. Okay, today we are finally doing the long video you guys have been asking for and doing like a Q&A / get to know Tristan, who is our son, for those of you new to the channel or don't know who he is. And today is the last day that he could be referred to as our foster son, and we're going to explain why.
With you I see the morning always comes. With you I hear the story told by love.
Okay, so we had moved from one house to another house, and in that move, we had changed our... We didn't mean to, but a typo had changed our foster care license to be from 0 to 7 to 0 to 17. And so we started getting phone calls about teenagers, and one of those awesome teenagers is Tristan.
He was actually the third teen that we ever took in, and he was 16 at the time that he came into our home. And
it was pretty close to his 17th birthday, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. I was fairly close.
I think you came in December, like beginning of December.
Yeah, it was. I would think it was like a month off of my 17th birthday.
Yeah, right in there. And then, so it was interesting because we were kind of scared of teens, I'm not gonna lie, because we were so used to like little kids, and we felt like we were still pretty young, like figuring this whole parenting thing out. And so when we started taking in teens, when they called, originally they were like, hey, it's just for a weekend. And they were like, there's just no group homes, there's nothing available, like, can you please just take him for the weekend? And so we were like, yeah, that's fine, we can do that. And then he was there for the weekend, and we were like, you're not picking it. Like, I literally called the caseworker on Monday, and I was like, no, he's staying. Like, he's not going anywhere. He's meant to be here. And so that's kind of how the backstory of that.
So I want to point something out, and I think it's interesting to talk about, or an interesting... So when Crystal and I moved and that change happened, Tristan brings up a good point. I think I was Tristan's current age, which he's 28 years old. And so Crystal was 24.
Yeah.
And Tristan was 16, almost 17. And we've gotten the question a lot of, how does it feel to have a child so close to your age? So like Jamie, for instance, is our technically oldest child.
Right, and we're only 8 years apart.
We're only 8 years apart. But Tristan, can you speak to, is that a weird thing? Was it weird at the time?
I think at the time it was definitely something interesting to me. I will say that I wasn't really at the time looking for mom and dad. It was mom and dad figures were offered to me left and right, and so many times. And for me, it was just like, it felt so disingenuous for me to do that. So for me, I didn't really look at it like that at the time, or at least I wasn't able to put like a word to the way that I felt at the time until like later in life.
Makes sense.
That makes sense. Okay,
how was it from the parent angle? What did you think about that?
I was scared, like not scared of teens, but I was just like, okay, like I wasn't a teen that long ago, but I felt like in a lot of ways that kind of helped because I understood a lot of the feelings and a lot of the different things in school that they were going through, and like, so I felt like I understood them more, which was interesting from that aspect. But then it was like, I felt like I did like question, like, okay, am I ready? Like, am I going to do the right thing? Am I going to parent right? Like, you just have all of those thoughts in your head. Like, you just want to do your best. And it's like, you know?
I will say it was interesting too, because Hallie was what age when you came in? So if you were 16...
How old is Hallie now?
Hallie, I think, was like
20
8.
now. So there's an 8-year difference.
An 8-year difference, so she would have been 9 years old.
One other thing I want to say about that too is, so we did have a different foster daughter who had already like aged out at this point, and then Melinda was already in the house when Tristan came in. So we already had like someone even older than Tristan. Well, I guess she's only a year older, not that much. But yeah, so the dynamic was
Melinda wasn't
different.
with us all that long before Tristan came in.
That is true.
So I don't know, we were new to teen parenting.
Yes.
Compared to the everything now, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get into questions now, and you guys actually have some really good ones. So let's start with, is Tristan half Korean?
Yes, I am. I am half Korean. That super easy first one. There we go. I will say, being in the group home system, you don't always get to like know that stuff. I have the benefit, I would say, of knowing who my biological mother is. I wouldn't believe it unless I literally knew her, which I do. Yeah, she's a tiny little Korean lady. So, yeah, she's full Korean. She was adopted from Seoul, Korea. So, yeah, I'm 50%.
Which is one of the other questions. What age did you come into foster care?
So, it's kind of a weird answer. So, when I turned, I think it was right before, I always mix the story up because it was part of a whole backstory that we can get into another time. But I was 7 years old, and it was right after my 7th birthday, and I was told, you're going to spend the summer with your grandparents. I should have put it together because I'm born in January. So I should have been able to put it together that this is not summertime and this makes no sense. But I was 7 and I got put into my grandparents' house, which was my first foster adventure, I suppose. And that was when I was 7 years old.
And then you stayed in your grandparents' house?
So I stayed inside my grandparents' house. I was with them 2 separate times. So I was with them the first time until I was about 9. Wait, let me think this through. I was in 5th grade. So how old would I have been?
Yeah, 5th grade
11
is
years
like
old.
10, 11.
Yeah, so I was like 10 or 11 and I moved in with my uncle Paul. And Paul is one of my mother's foster brothers. He was really close to the family, and when my mom got sick, he took some kind of a role taking care of her.
All right, do you have a girlfriend? There's several of those. Girlfriend, is Tristan single? Like,
yeah, I had a long-lasting relationship that ended like 3 years ago now. Just haven't made it work with anyone yet. So, yes.
Single and ready to mingle. Okay,
no.
Maybe not the best tagline.
As his Instagram comes across.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, pull out the Instagram.
Okay, has Tristan gone to culinary school?
No, definitely not. Culinary school for people inside the restaurant industry. Culinary school is not all it's cracked up to be. When I worked inside the kitchens, I also worked alongside many chefs that went through the culinary school route, and I made more than them inside the kitchens. I always say that culinary school is a great intermediate if you didn't pick up things in your pre-adolescence, or if you're really looking for, I have no idea how to even turn on a stove, to all the way to get to be cooking and everything, but it's just a stepping stone. It's really one of those things that you can learn just as much just by YouTube and reading cookbooks and practicing. When I was in food and beverage, I quickly made the transition from line cooking over into working behind the bar. I thought that working behind the bar would be something really easy for me. Talking to people has never been hard for me. So I thought that going into the bar scene and making that money and doing that was super easy and super cool. So that's where I went, and spent a lot of time like perfecting my craft. I went to a local mixology school down here. Shout out ABC. But went through that and ended up doing that for the college route for hotel restaurant management, and ended up just managing. So
that's his background. I know everyone was curious about that. Why did you leave for so long? You were such a pet explanation mark.
So this is probably the number one question I get asked just in general, and I think that the answer is important. It's just kind of long. So I think the best way to really like start that would be to go to the beginning. Substances were something that I had a problem with sobriety in my early adolescence and into my early adulthood. And my drug of choice in this case was alcohol. And although like I was talking about, my food and beverage career shifting from food into alcohol, my personal life shifted from living into drinking. It's non-conjunctive to be around the family and to be consuming the amount of alcohol and doing the things that I was doing. I will say I wasn't getting DUIs and doing that stuff, but I was definitely passing the limit, and I'm not demonizing alcohol in any way. It's just not for me. So I got some time sober and spent some time figuring out what was important to me, and here I am.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yes. Are you working with the crazy pieces? And then they put as a chef.
Okay, so I hate that I'm answering every question with yes and no.
Right? It's complicated.
Yeah, it's a complicated answer here, but the answer is yes. So I've taken over now as a partner of Beyond Crazy, which is the cooking channel that we've got through the crazy atmosphere here, and right here. Right here.
Beyond Crazy. Go subscribe.
Yeah, right here. But yes, I am. So I'm doing that. And then I will say just being inside the house. I'm not one to take a back seat to things when things need to get done. And we touched base on it a tiny bit. I'm a huge acts of person, or acts of service person rather. And I think that if I can help out and do something as easy as feeding the kids, which was a sensitivity when I was in foster care, was food and hunger in general. And so if I can help out with something as medial as that can be so important as well, I'd love to be able to do it. So it kind of turns into a yes, I am doing it for Beyond Crazy. No, I'm not a personal chef or anything like that, but I'm happy to help, and that's
it's like anytime we go to cook, he gets in there and just starts doing everything, and he's so good at it. So
there's a lot of times where we're filming a Beyond Crazy video and we're cooking something in the kitchen, and we'll have a kid come in and they're like, I'm really hungry, can you guys make me something to eat? And so Tristan or I, depending on where we're at in the filming, will make the kid food. So absolutely.
Okay, advice for kids in the foster care system.
Do what you can to get out in one piece, whether that means physically or emotionally. Worry about what's important to you, and just realize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and there are people and resources out there to help you once you're out. It's not just about where you're at now or what you're getting told now.
I love that. There are a lot of foster homes and a lot of group homes that do it for the wrong reasons or don't have the proper training and the proper resources, or they haven't tapped into the proper resources to really understand trauma and to help children. And so a lot of these are just a place to eat and sleep, and unfortunately emotionally they are sometimes more abusive in some situations, so it's really sad. What is your plan for the future?
Oof, plan for the future. So this is something that I was huge about. So a 5-year plan has been my thing forever. I've been a person to write out a new 5-year plan every year, and every year I've had goals set and things I needed to get done and what that looked like. And for a long time, what success looked like for me was finishing my hotel restaurant management in college and getting a job as a bar manager. I thought that's what I wanted to do. I had the pleasure of doing that for the Fairmont out here in Phoenix, as well as the W in Old Town Scottsdale, which are some pretty large projects here in Arizona. And it just wasn't what I wanted at all. Just level of expansion, what the rate of pay was at the very top, and it just wasn't what I wanted. It was very non-fulfillment that I was getting from the jobs. And so I've kind of taken that out of my thinking process as far as my new 5-year plan. But I will say that my current 5-year plan is to figure out all of my debt situation, work full-time for the family as well as Beyond Crazy, honestly, and just doubling down on what we're doing here, getting to be around the family as much as possible and watching everyone grow and develop. And I really want to, on the personal side, I'd like to build out a van and do van life at some point within the next couple of years. My older dog, Kobe, I think this will be his last summer, so I will say that once I have the single dog, it'll make that a little easier, but yeah. Just
I know you talked about too, maybe starting a foster care foundation, helping clothe, because clothing and shoes and all of those kind of things, when kids first come into foster care, I don't even know what 90% of every kid we've gotten, their shoes are the wrong size or they're so worn that I'm
and they mostly come with a trash bag full of 3 outfits.
Yeah.
They don't have the right size, they don't have enough. Yeah, it's a huge issue.
What do you feel been away from a time period and to be back in the environment? So I think having that gap, I guess, is it weird coming back and the kids are older and it's this whole, I don't know.
How to explain this? It's kind of like in a movie because there's a time skip, right? And it's literally just a cut screen of 7 years later. And in a movie, there's never those awkward moments of do we still talk? Are we still cool? Or is this even still a thing at this point? Or what's going on? But it just didn't feel like that at all. I literally, we went out to lunch and sat and talked for 2 hours plus, and then was oh, you should come over tomorrow. And we figured it out immediately. And it's honestly, it hasn't felt like any time lost.
I agree. I felt like there was no awkward, it just felt like it was so natural and always has been.
Yeah, it's like that's why I say it's like a movie, because in movies they don't have those like little awkward moments of like, oh, is this still a thing? Like it just cuts to 8 years later. It's like,
Will you, and this to directed at both of you, would you guys ever consider opening a restaurant or cafe together?
So a long time ago, I wanted to open or start a food truck. But we ended up buying an ice cream truck in place of that because I wasn't quite ready to do food at the time. But I will say, having Tristan back and cooking together on Beyond Crazy, I think the possibility down the line of a restaurant or food truck is definitely there.
we could do it. I feel like the margins are too small.
And that's possible. I don't know.
Probably not.
A lot of you have asked, will we make a cookbook? And I actually see a cookbook or like our own spice line or something like that happening before a restaurant or food truck. But I think anything's possible.
Yeah.
Is Tristan a Harry Potter fan?
Yes, I've read all the books. Multiple times, actually. Those were some of the books, like my comfort books when I was growing up. So yeah, I've read all of those. I will say I'm definitely a component that the Harry Potter series is better than the Hunger Games series. So hate me in the comments.
I know a question we get asked a lot, and I'm sure it's in your list somewhere, but does Tristan live with us? No, he doesn't. He was living in a house with a roommate before, and things just changed. It was kind of far away, so he was having to drive like 45 minutes to 50 minutes each way every day to come over and work on Beyond Crazy, and it just wasn't conducive. So he, Max, and Alex have now moved in together.
Yeah, check out my brother Max's channel. It'll be in the description or right here. He's gonna have a couple cool videos coming out all about it.
Yeah.
Yes. How did you reconnect, and what is the best part about reconnecting with the Pettits?
Okay, so the story of the reconnection was actually my sister Melinda. She actually hit me up on Facebook, and so Melinda and I had talked. As a backstory, Melinda and I lived together after I had aged out of the system. We had shared a house for a short amount of time there, and so we still kept in communication. It was just very, very spotty. And so we talk every once in a while on Facebook Messenger, and I'm really not a huge on Facebook person, so messages would just go and I would just never see them. And I was one night just sitting there and it popped up, and I was like, hey. And she literally asked if I'd want to come have lunch with you guys, and the answer was yes, obviously, and yeah, and here we are.
Melinda and I had a conversation, and I was like, do you ever talk to Tristan? I was like, can you reach out to him and see if he'd do lunch? Because I don't know, and you have to tell the fortune cookie little story thing, but anyway, so I had just like this random feeling. Like, I don't know what it was, what popped in my head, like it was like, you need to reach out to him. Like, I just felt that way, and so yeah, she did, and then you heard that part of the story. But
Fortune cookie.
the fortune cookie.
Oh, so I had this fortune cookie, and I never keep those things. I don't know, I'm not like a sentimental keep a fortune cookie kind of guy. So the fortune cookie said that you will receive support from an unexpected source. And I didn't really understand or care to know what that looked like, but I ended up keeping it. And it was something I ended up finding inside some of my pants later on, and it ended up stuck on my corkboard and ended up working itself out. So here I am.
Did you go back to bio family after leaving our house?
Definitely not. So a little backstory on my bio family. So my mother was also, like I said, was a foster child. She and I are the only biological family that we have. And when her actual reasoning, or my actual reasoning for entering the foster care system, was that she got sick with Wilson. She has Wilson's disease, which, if you guys don't know, there's definitely a lot of information on it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to go into all of that. But it made it to where she was unable to care for herself and me. And that was what made me enter into the foster care realm. In today's day, that's more of just me supporting her in any way that I can. I still have a relationship with her as much as that can be, but yeah, it's more of a complex emotional situation. So
What is your favorite movie?
oh, my favorite movie ever. Okay, really easy one. It's going to be Reservoir Dogs by Quentin Tarantino. Best film ever made, hands down. And I can't even tell you why because it's going to ruin the plot. Go home and watch it.
I don't know if I've seen it.
So I've seen it. It's been a really long time. I would love to sit down and watch it with you again.
Yeah, it's honestly, I'm a big movie guy, and I really have like gone towards the older I get, the more I seemingly like older movies, oddly enough. And there's just, at this point, what new movies are we getting? We're getting sold nostalgia with a new title every other day. So,
Where was Tristan born?
I was born right here in Arizona. Left for Washington State a couple days after being born.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Okay, so long-winded answer for this one. Like I said before, I'm an active service person, so I'm super happy to cook anything for anybody else. For myself, I don't really care as much. I'm a throw a can of chili inside the microwave kind of guy. I would probably say steak and potatoes.
Can we see the tattoos and the meaning behind them?
Yeah. So we could definitely go on the full tattoo tour thing on another video or on the Beyond Crazy channel. Just seeing that as this is a family safe channel, I don't really see that as the most wholesome behavior to be going about. So, but I can definitely, and on my Instagram as well as the Beyond Crazy Instagram, there's links for that stuff too.
The biggest question we get is, what is the Korean tattoo that some people have seen it based on the shirt that you've worn, they've seen part of it. What is the meaning, or what does it say?
So this is it's obviously Korean. It was a neckline tattoo that I got when I was 18 years old. And it says "Be the Difference." So a while ago, I'm not sure if you've seen, did you ever watch Prison Break?
I did. I love that show.
So the gentleman who plays Michael Schofield, his name is, oh my goodness, how am I going to butcher this? Oh, it's Wentworth Miller. I totally knew that. Oh my goodness. So yes, so it is Korean. It says "Be the Difference" on my chest, and it was because of a speech that I saw a long time ago by Wentworth Miller about survival mode in children, and talking about how you need to act every day as the person that you needed when you were that age. So it's a super fantastic speech. If you guys, we might throw it inside the description, not 100% sure, but yeah, it's definitely worth the listen.
I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you want kids eventually?
Yeah, definitely.
I think you'd make a really good dad. I just want to put that out there.
I appreciate
Yes.
that. I feel like I care about people and try to like reason with kids. So
You're good with kids. And I feel like, okay, this one, so it says, will Tristan ever meet Joe? I feel like they would get along so well. They've actually met. They have met actually a long time ago.
yeah. So I met Joe when I was 16 years old. Obviously this was before any of the YouTube land ever started. Super nice guy. Never really got to meet him all that much, but I knew that he was a good friend to Kraz, and if he's good to Kraz, he's good with me. So didn't really get to spend all that much time with him. Hope him the best, but yeah, just rolling in right after him and just watched all of his videos and stuff. So big fan for the Beyond Crazy team.
I know some people assume like Joe left right as Tristan was coming in, and that was because Tristan was coming in, when those did not correlate at all. It just happened to work out that way, but it wasn't like planned that way, if that makes sense.
It actually happened with Joe leaving. I didn't know what to do with Beyond Crazy, and I didn't know if I had the energy myself to sustain it by myself. And so Tristan coming along, and you guys have all commented, he has sparked an energy in me that I had forgotten, or I had lost. I don't know where it went, but I'm really happy to have it back. And so it's just good timing.
Tristan definitely was our missing piece.
He really was.
He really was. I know we've said that before in the past.
Yeah, catch us in the comments section. We know it's been said.
He was our missing piece, and he's back, and he brings such a light to our family, so I absolutely love it. But along those lines, like Tristan was in our lives, for years, and then even after moving out, he actually lived with Aaron's parents for a little bit, and then also the house that Aunt Bonnie was in. You've seen me film a couple times in it, but him, Jamie, and Melinda,
Not putting his name in a
somebody
video.
else. They all rented that house together and like lived together in that house. And so it's when Aaron and I still owned it, and so it was kind of like having our older kids there. And so and he was there like right after like Melinda found out she was pregnant, and like all of this was going on. It was like in that time period. So
yeah, and something I'd like to say too about that is it wasn't this cold shoulder like you're no longer with us, this, that, and the other. It really was you need to get yourself help, you need to figure this out. It was a lot of misconnections as well. Like I went to college out of state. I spent time in Colorado, and when I moved back, they had lived in St. John's. So yeah, don't be stirring the story up in the comments section.
Right. And it wasn't like it was like, oh, you're cut off, you're banned from the, like there was nothing like that. It was just everyone was drifting apart, and there was just a lot of stuff going on that it was just like, you know.
Something I would like to speak to is there's two sides to every story. And while Tristan had some things that he was doing wrong, I did and said some things that I shouldn't have said. And only Tristan and I know, because only he and I were there, but I just want to say that I'm super sorry.
No, I'm sorry. And that's one of those things that like I wish I thought about that for a really long time about some of the things that I said. We can't change the things we've done, we can just change the people we are now. So
But I missed that 7 years.
oh, Grazzle. I'm here now.
He's back now.
I will say that part of my sobriety, like my journey with sobriety, was like understanding that like you only change when you're ready to change, and I wasn't ready to change, and I can tell you honestly that I don't know if I ever would have sobered up and would have realized that had I not felt the consequences of losing my family over it.
I feel like
I know, now we're just stuck.
transition.
I know, right? They're like, what's your favorite color?
I don't know if it was like obvious or like if I guess so. Aaron and Tristan did have like not like
It was a disagreement.
on some stuff.
Words were said on both sides, and I know we both didn't mean what we said in the moment, and we're both sorry for it. I know I am.
I definitely am.
Okay.
I know, right? I'm like,
sorry. It's just been something I've been thinking about, and like how thankful I am to have you around, and how much I missed you.
no, I'm here now.
Oh.
Sorry. Well, to make things, to spotlight it, so when my mom passed away recently, Crystal and I were sitting down making a video, like an in memoriam, an in memoriam video, and some of the videos and pictures that we found were of past Christmases that we had with you, and just seeing those, and yeah, it was. I'm just glad you're back. I'm sorry.
Happy to be here.
Whew. Sorry.
I didn't know we were crying.
I know, right?
Some of the best stories have a sad part in them, guys.
I know. Thumbnailing us just like fucking wiping tears. Crystal looking all confused in the middle.
I will say, like, doing foster care and bringing kids into your home, like, you really do get attached, and you really do have this, like, you know, certain kids you just like, oh my gosh, they're meant to be in our lives. They're meant to be our kids. And you just get this feeling, I can't describe it, like, I don't know how to put it in words, but it's like, so there's been certain kids that we have that attachment with, and then there's some that we've had that, and then they've gone to like bio family, like a grandma or like, and I know going into foster care, like the plan is like reunification with family, and when like Tristan and Melinda and everyone was first coming in, like we had not adopted any kids at that point. And so it was like at this point where it was like, we hadn't really adopted yet, but like we wanted to, and it was like this, I don't know, it's so hard to like explain how I'm feeling.
It's really tough too because of the time frames, right? So Tristan came to us basically when he was 17. He would have had to been in our house for at least 6 months, and then it would have had to been the right situation to actually adopt him. And it just didn't happen before he turned 18.
But when you do foster care anyways, there's like when kids leave or like go to family or go to different things, you just like have this like heartbreak inside. And I remember when we were kind of like not really talking to Tristan as much, and it was kind of just this like drift apart. It was like I literally cried for like days because I was like I lost my kid. Like it's so heartbreaking. So yeah, I'm incredibly thankful to have him back.
So the number one question we get.
The last and final question, the number one question that we get and that we've actually all extensively talked about, and we all know where we feel on it and how we feel about it, and that is, are you going to adopt Tristan? And the answer is
Yes.
Yes.
yes, we are.
I'm bringing out the fire, bring on all the lightning, 'cause I'm looking for a hero, look inside the mirror, I found one. Oh, carry the hurt when it gets too hard, pick it up, dust it off.